Imagine inventing something so successful that it ends up in almost every home on Earth. Something that protects televisions, keeps coffee hot, insulates buildings, and ships products across oceans. Now imagine that invention is mostly air. Not metal, not wood, not glass. Air. Today, billions of people use styrofoam without giving it a second thought. But the story of styrofoam isn't just the story of an invention. It's the story of a scientific accident, a world-changing breakthrough, and a material that went from miracle product to one of the most controversial objects on the planet. This is the history of styrofoam, and it all started with a problem nobody had solved. Long before styrofoam existed, people were fighting a constant battle, keeping heat in, or keeping heat out. For thousands of years, builders relied on straw, wool, cork, and animal hides. These materials weren't special because of what they were made of. They were special because of what they trapped. Air. Scientists eventually discovered that trapped air slows the movement of heat. The more tiny pockets of air you create, the better the insulation. As cities grew and technology advanced, the need for better insulation became impossible to ignore. Factories needed it, buildings needed it, refrigerators needed it. The world was searching for a better solution, and chemistry was about to provide one. The story of styrofoam begins with a chemical called styrene. Scientists had known about it since the 19th century. At first, it didn't seem particularly important, but chemists discovered something fascinating. Tiny styrene molecules could link together into long chains. When enough chains connected, they created an entirely new material, polystyrene. Polystyrene was lightweight, strong, easy to shape, and relatively inexpensive. Manufacturers immediately saw potential. But there was one problem. It still wasn't styrofoam. The biggest breakthrough hadn't happened yet. In the 1940s, engineers at Dow Chemical were experimenting with insulation materials. They weren't trying to invent styrofoam. They were trying to solve a problem. During one experiment, gas was forced into molten polystyrene. As the material expanded, something remarkable happened. Millions of tiny air pockets formed inside. The result was unlike anything they had seen before. A material that was incredibly light, exceptionally strong, and astonishingly good at trapping heat. Styrofoam had been born, and nobody realized just how important it would become. Once manufacturers discovered what styrofoam could do, adoption happened fast. Construction companies used it to insulate buildings. Restaurants used it to keep food hot. Shipping companies used it to protect fragile products. Hospitals used it for medical packaging. Scientists even used it in specialized equipment. Everywhere people needed something lightweight and protective, styrofoam seemed to have an answer. By the second half of the 20th century, it had become one of the most successful materials ever created. And most people never noticed. For decades, styrofoam looked like a perfect invention. But there was a catch. The same qualities that made styrofoam useful also made it difficult to dispose of. It was durable, extremely durable. Unlike natural materials, it didn't easily break down. As environmental awareness grew, questions began to appear. What happens after we throw it away? Where does it go? And how long does it stay there? The miracle material suddenly had a complicated reputation. The next time you hold a styrofoam cup, take a second look, because you're holding the result of more than a century of scientific discovery. A material born from chemistry, built from millions of tiny pockets of air. A product that protected fragile shipments, insulated homes, and transformed modern life. But it's also a reminder of something else. Some inventions solve problems so well that they create entirely new ones. And few inventions tell that story better than styrofoam. A material so light it almost weighs nothing, yet one that left a mark on the world that may last for generations. That's the history of Styrofoam.